defines the game. Like there are definitely people that said one thing to my face and then lied and did something else, but to
Yeah.
me, like that's part of the game. So that's all fair. But yeah.
Beast Games contestants are not just chosen, they are tested, placed in high pressure environments where every decision matters, every move is watched, and only the most resilient rise. It takes more than skill to stand out, it takes mindset, adaptability, and the ability to perform when it counts. Today's guest is someone who stepped into that arena and experienced it firsthand. Known online as Hannah Riggs, is not only a Beast Games competitor, but someone who defies expectations in every space she enters. She is a software engineer, a professional dancer, and a living statue performance artist, someone who lives at the intersection of logic and creativity, discipline and expression. Her journey is a powerful reminder that people don't always see the full picture and that sometimes the most underestimated individuals are the ones capable of the most. Welcome to Become the Victor, where we don't just talk about what someone went through, we talk about who they became because of it. Please welcome Hannah Riggs.
Wow, that was an amazing introduction. I love that description of myself. Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, Hannah, so for everyone coming across to who you are, what is your story before Beast Games, before statue performance, software engineering, before everything? What is your story?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go back like before all that because like all those things have been such a big part of my life. Like I grew up dancing from a little kid. As a little kid, I grew up watching reality TV with my parents and my dad and playing video games, which is what led me to get into software engineering in the first place. So I think all those things have sort of been part of my life and personality like my entire life.
Wow, that was really cool. So you, is there anyone in your family that did software engineering? Like what really sparked that interest?
Yeah, so actually, my dad teaches computer science, but the funny thing is, as a kid, he would always try to push me to do computer science, and he'd be like, "Oh, just like write some code, just come over and write a Python script with me." And because he was my dad, and I kind of like didn't want to do what my parents wanted me to do, I actively like pushed that away and didn't start engineering until after college. So he was there, but didn't really do it with him until, college.
So when exactly did you start getting into engineering? Because like obviously you went through school, I'm assuming, and then college.
Yeah, so the interesting thing was I actually did my undergrad at a dance conservatory and got my bachelor's in ballet and modern. And then it wasn't until after I started dancing professionally and doing living statue performance art, I actually started pursuing a master's in software engineering. So I kind of was a student for like many years.
That is phenomenal. Like I didn't even, that is so cool. What was that journey and that process like, achieving your master's?
It was tough. It was really tough because I was like dancing part-time and then working part-time doing various like dance related things and like administrative stuff and then also like at night taking classes and then I started teaching not teaching but like tutoring in software engineering because I was really passionate as another way to make money. So it was tough because it was like having multiple like careers at the same time and I really had to like grind to really like get to where I was. Like I remember one of the classes I took, they would release the projects for the week on Friday night. Instead of going out and doing anything, I would wait at my computer, like refreshing the assignment page. And then as soon as it came up, I would start working immediately. Because for me, I don't think actually engineering came super easily. It's like I like really had to work hard to get proficient at it. So I would need every single moment I had to work on those assignments.
Wow. How do you balance all these different things? Like you have a personality for dancing, statue artist, software engineering. Like how do you balance all these different things?
Yeah, so it's both a balance and also like they're also interconnected, kind of. Like it's obviously very different sitting in front of a computer and then also dancing on a stage, but at the same time, like when you're working, doing computer science, you do have to think like creatively, like have creative problem solving and think out of the box, which is kind of what you need for dance or performance. And then conversely, for dance, like, yes, we are dancing, but we're also taking care of our bodies and thinking about anatomy and physiology, and we're counting and keeping track of all sorts of sort of logical things like that. So I think they kind of like help each other actually.
Yeah, that's actually very fascinating how you brought that up. Is what is actually something that you think is common in all fields that you do?
Oh, I mean, I do think thinking and working creatively is like all these fields share that. Because for engineering, like any complex problem that hasn't been solved yet, you have to think outside the box,
Yeah,
you know? And then same thing for dance. It's like creating dances and thinking of new things that people want to pay money for to go and watch.
yeah. That is so fascinating. I think your story is incredible when I was researching you and everything. And I'm very curious, was there ever like have you ever had to endure anything hard or like was there ever a moment where you had to pivot or was there ever like a pivotal moment or transformational moment, you know, before all of this kind of transpired?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about like one moment, but I mean, like the whole process of both getting into dance and engineering was hard because dance itself is like a really hard field in that literally you're going up in front of people and people are like judging you and telling you like what's wrong with your face and your body and like literally when I looked at like certain audition things and I see like how they rate us, they'll literally rate different parts of our body like I give this
Uh,
person their waist a 10 but their face a 3 so we're not going to hire
uh,
them. So that's like really, that can be really emotionally tough and can create really toxic environments for, I mean, everybody, but
yeah,
you know, of any like gender or look, but you know, definitely difficult. And then for engineering, like I've always done well in school, but I think I've always done well in school because I've worked really hard and like realized like, oh, I'm not that skilled in this. I'm going to put in the extra hours. So like my example about Friday nights, I knew I needed that extra time. So I made the decision to sacrifice time with friends, times with family, times to relax to make sure I did well in those classes and achieve my goals.
yeah. When you talk about, I actually want to touch on that a little bit, you know, for if, you know, other girls or women or anyone watching this as well, you know, they suffer maybe from like stuff like that, how you said they kind of judge you for your appearance and your looks, your body, your facial features, all these different things, is what kind of helped you? Was there ever a moment where you kind of helped? Was there ever a pivotal moment where you kind of developed that self-confidence or regardless of what you say, like, you know, I'm comfortable being me?
Yeah, I mean, I was really fortunate that I was surrounded by like friends and families who were really body positive and promoted really good, like healthy patterns of looking at yourself and realizing that everybody is beautiful and healthy in their own ways. But I did have like know a number of people that like fell into the media or teachers making comments that led, you know, ended up in eating disorders or other issues. So I think it's really like leaning on your support systems. And like if you're feeling a certain way, talking to them about it. Like if I'm feeling like, okay, I feel really like not beautiful about like I had a really bad audition and I got rejected and somebody said I was X, Y, and Z, like going to my friends or family and them saying like, nope, don't listen to that. Don't fall into like a bad pit of despair over that
Yeah.
because yeah.
Yeah. And I want to touch on your software engineering, how you talked about like your mind is very fascinating. You know, I think your emotional intellect is pretty unique and different, you know, amongst like the ordinary people. When you talk about like balancing, you know, how like going out to, you know, really taking your software engineering journey very seriously and you're focused on that, like how does your mind, I don't know if you can articulate it, but how does your mind work when it comes to things like that? Like you seem like you have a mind kind of like MrBeast in a sense. You're always juggling different things and you literally break down every single thing down to like the second. You know, like how do you like how does your mind work like that? Like, you know, like do you know what I'm trying to say?
I mean, I feel like me and MrBeast are doing too much, to be honest. Because I think like I do juggle a lot. Like I have like full 3 part-time careers, and obviously like living everyday life is a lot. Just trying to keep up with like groceries and doing laundry and seeing friends and family and all those things.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me that helps me juggle all of that is also like the why and the passion, like I do feel really, really exhausted trying to keep all these things in line, but it's hard to say no to exciting opportunities like there's a dance performance or, going on a reality TV show, just like knowing my why and knowing why I'm making myself crazy doing all these things.
Yeah. Is there anything that like drives you?
I mean, I don't know if this is good or not, but I think I really crave new and novel experiences. And along with that, I think I like doing things that do create like positive impacts on people. So for example, like my job, it's for a company that does OCD and anxiety treatment for kids. And so, like, that helps me get up and go to work in the morning because I feel passionate about that. Same thing with dance. Like, yes, it is fun to perform and it's really exciting to perform in so many different places, but also, like, when kids see us perform as statues and they actually like it, like, you can see in their eyes, it feels like they believe that like magic is real because they're like,
Oh,
there's a tree that's talking to me or dancing with me, or there's a mermaid that's talking. How is this possible? Like that makes me excited to keep doing all these things.
yeah. That is so, so cute. How did you get into that?
Yeah, that was actually I was actually performing and just in the theater, there was like an ad up that advertised like, oh, we're looking for performers. So it's really just like being in that entertainment industry sort of like leads to like different sort of aspects of that. And we have like actors and dancers and all sorts of like performance artists to create these like interactive, like magical sort of experiences for people.
Yeah. And like you really do juggle a lot. Like you sound very passionate about, you sound like a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I don't know if you ever heard that phrase.
No,
Uh,
I haven't, but I think it fits.
yeah, Maria Forleo or Mary Forleo is she talked about that. But you sound like you're a multi-passionate entrepreneur, and I find that incredibly fascinating. When you like you have all these different, like your mind is very creative. In order to really be passionate about not just one thing but different things, you develop different unique skill sets. What is one skill set or trait that you think has benefited you the most?
Mm. I mean, I probably touched on this the most, and I don't know if this is the best thing to motivate people, but for myself, I think thinking about like both like hard work and the why if I'm doing something. Like the company they work for, we have something called like toward moves. So you think about like what are your goals, what are your values, and is the move that I'm making or the decision I'm making, is that moving me toward my goals and values or is it moving me away from those? So I think what motivates me is thinking like, okay, is everything I'm doing moving me toward my goals and values and things that are important to me?
Yeah, I like that. It kind of keeps you like in alignment, and it keeps you focused.
Yes, no, exactly. It's like aligning your actual actions with like what you believe in and what you're passionate about. Because it's so easy to get like lost in the day-to-day grind of like, I have to do this, I have to do that. And it's like, wait, is this actually what I want to be doing? Is this moving
Yeah.
me towards the life I want to be living?
Yeah, it's so, so true. If you can get organized, or even if you just kind of put yourself in the mentality of like just don't think about the entire staircase about how you're going to get through the journey, but literally just take one step forward at a time, you figure things out along the way.
Yes, no, for sure. Because like when you think about where you're trying to go, like the top of the staircase, you're just overwhelmed. Like I can never get to the top, but
Yeah.
you can take one step.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I'm very, very curious. So you do all these different things. You got your master's, you pursued college, you got your degree, and you became a dancer, you became a statue performance artist, a software engineer, right? All these different things, and probably, other things along the way as well. They kind of became passionate about. How did you get into think, how did you enter MrBeast? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah. So, I side note, I'm very, very into reality competition television.
Okay.
So I have a lot of friends who are also into this. So, a friend saw an advertisement for like MrBeast casting. We're looking for, smart women, and he recommended me to them, and they called me and liked my credentials. And I was super excited to apply because I've always been intrigued in like pushing myself like to like psychologically and physically and emotionally. So it just seemed like a really, really good challenge, but also a very scary challenge, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Something like entering a show, especially like Mr. Beast is, like I'm assuming you know Mr. Beast prior to applying for the application, right?
Yes. So I was
Okay.
like, what are we going to be doing? Like,
Yeah.
are there going to be thousands of us? Like, is it going to be something absolutely crazy and terrifying?
Yeah, because I interviewed Corey and he didn't know anything about Mr. Beast and he ended up getting into it, which was really cool. And so I'm curious, so you knew Mr. Beast, you know his style, you know how he works, he's creative, he really builds up that adrenaline, right?
Yep.
And
Yep,
so
for
like
sure.
was entering the show anything you had originally expected?
I mean, I watch a lot of shows like this, like Survivor and The Amazing Race and things like that. So, and I'd watch like season one like three times to
Mhm.
prepare. Um, So I think I thought I was prepared, but then when you're actually in it,
Yeah,
you realize you can't prepare for something that crazy. Because so many things that you don't even see on camera, like you're away from your friends and family, you don't have access to a phone, you don't really have access to your own stuff besides, certain clothes and toiletries you bring in.
yeah.
So to answer your question, no, I did not feel prepared.
Was there anything that you did in advance to kind of help mentally prepare? Like you said, you're in the smart group. Was there anything you kind of did to kind of, maybe like remember patterns or things like that? Was there anything you prepared in advance?
I remember thinking I should practice memory because there was a bunch of memory things in season one.
Yeah.
But because I'm doing 10,000 things in my everyday life, I did not. And I remember when we saw that first challenge of memorizing blocks, I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I practice memory?
Yeah. That is so, so funny. It's a great show. I loved it. I love season one and season two. And all the contestants, all of you guys have like your own unique characters.
Mhm.
When you are now competing into the show and like go on the plane, you go to Vegas and they have a special sign where they tell you like what to look out for so it doesn't draw too much attention. And when
Mhm.
you were navigating this process, like what did that moment feel like for you? Like when you were there, like how did that feel for you?
Surreal.
Yeah.
Like up until that point, I didn't really I knew logically I was gonna go on the show and turn over my phone and be mic'd up, but like actually going and seeing a bunch of people and being like, oh my gosh, are these other contestants that are gonna be trying to eliminate me or be my allies? And
Yeah.
then actually have to give over your phone and be like, oh my gosh, I have no more control over what I'm doing. Like it's really like an out of body experience.
How was it entering that room with all of these other contestants?
Well, for one, I thought there was going to be a lot more.
Yeah.
Like season one, there were, I think, 2,000 to start in the YouTube episode. And I remember they
Mhm.
sat us down and they were like, all right, do y'all want to know how many other hotels filled with contestants are there? And we're
Yeah.
like, yes, oh no. And they were like, this is it. And we like, the whole crowd like erupted in cheers. Like you would think that we'd all just won because we all thought we'd be battling against like thousands of other people.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
That is so, so funny. So you enter the competition, you get there, you're excited. It's like a surreal experience for you. And how I want to touch on that actually. How was it being away from family and friends and having no communication? How was no contact like?
Yeah, it was very strange because it's like at the beginning, I think I obviously lean on them a lot and I'm very close to my parents, as you saw when they, visited, and my
Yeah,
boyfriend and other friends. So it was
yeah,
hard because I was so used to talking to them every day and like
yeah,
not just in a sad way, but also in an excited way. Like, oh, we did this. I want to tell all these people about this. And then you can't, and being
yeah,
afraid of like forgetting things. Um, but then it's almost like at least for me, it's almost like I entered in sort of like an alternate reality where obviously I know these people exist and I miss them and I'm excited to see them, but your castmates almost become your like pseudo family.
Right.
and your brain kind of transitions over to like, okay, real life is I need to win $5 million. And oh right, in my past life I had a job as a dancer and a software engineer. And your body kind of like turns into like this mode where I know it's a game, but your body's psychological response is like, I'm going to die if I don't win
Yeah.
the whole game. And it's like I feel like your body can't really understand that it is a game as much as it is for a lot of money.
Right. How was that moment like, seeing your family like, I mean, you can just tell, you can feel the emotion, during those clippings. Like, how did that personally feel for you?
I mean, I instantly started crying even
Yeah.
before my parents came in. I think Jim's family came in first, and everybody starts crying. We're like, it's the family visit. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I immediately started telling them everything, like a word vomit of like, and this happened, and this happened, and wanted to share everything. And we were walking around the city, and I'm like, this is where I sleep, this is where I cried, this is where I laughed, this is where my
Oh,
best friend Katie lives. And
yeah.
then when they left, it was actually harder for me than when they came because it kind of like took me out of the game and kind of like reminded me of like, oh, I have a whole life at home. And it kind of made me mentally checked out of the game actually, because I kind of was like, oh, I have a whole life at home that I miss and I don't want to get eliminated, but it wouldn't be the worst thing, which is probably bad. I probably would have been better mentally for me if I didn't have a family visit, to be honest.
Yeah, because you're already like you're adapting to your environment already, and so now they kind of draw that emotion to kind of remind you like what you're fighting for, or things like that. Psychologically it plays with your brain.
Yes, for sure. And I know some people said, or a lot of people said, like, oh, this reminds me what I'm fighting for. As you said, like, I'm more locked in, I'm ready to go. And I think for me, it did the opposite. It made me realize, like, oh, I really miss being at home. I really miss people who I feel safe with because all the people, like, at that point in the top 10 were really nice and are really good, kind people. But I wasn't really super close with anybody besides Katie as far as like someone I absolutely felt like no matter what had my back.
Yeah,
So it made me feel a little bit lonelier and more like alone because I was like, oh, this is what actual family feels like. And now these people are awesome, but they aren't my actual family.
yeah.
So it was tough.
I'm actually very, very curious when like you said, you feel like it did the opposite to help you lock in and kind of give you that strength to endure or push
Yeah.
through, right? And it kind of did the opposite. What helped you, you know, through that process, not so much just emotionally, but it helped you navigate that process so you can be ready for the next challenge.
Yeah, so for me, if I'm in a bad emotional state, to be honest, I think I probably went and had like a good cry and like
Yeah.
felt all my emotions and got it all out and then made the active decision to check back into the game and lock in again, as we say over and over on the show. Like deciding, okay, I'm gonna see them in some number of weeks, hopefully not too soon, because hopefully I'm there for the whole time.
Yeah.
But like really just making the decision of like instead of like wallowing in my sadness, I'm going to switch back and like lock in on the game.
Is there anything that you do that mentally kind of gets you back into like focused mode or helps you stay? Is there anything that you do to help you, I don't want to use the word lock in, but helps you kind of get back on track, when especially like through emotional stages?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is to like really let myself feel my feelings. Like if you just push those feelings away, they're gonna come out and they're gonna come out at the worst possible moment that you don't want them to come out.
Yeah.
So I think actively setting some amount of time to feel your feelings, feel upset, even if they're irrational or like don't really make sense to you, and then actively deciding like what are things I'm gonna do to make myself feel better. So like I remember, I think there was a day. I don't know, remember what it was, a day earlier in the season where I was in a funky emotional state. I remember Sue was also in a funky emotional state, and both of us just went to the gym together and worked out and talked and took time like away from everybody in the game just to sort of reset and take care of our bodies and our minds and just like be with somebody that we both trusted.
Yeah. And before we get into like the experiences of like full getting into more experiences with Beast games, I'm actually really curious as well. So you're amongst other smart people, and in the terms of smart, like you guys know, how human behavior, manipulation tactics, emotional behaviors, like all these different things. Was there ever a moment where things were happening within the show and you were picking up like, oh, okay, this person might be thinking about this thing, or I need to become more distant with this person. They're not too trustworthy, things like that. Like I don't want you to talk bad about your contestants, but like
Yeah,
were
of
there
course.
ever moments, of course, like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can usually pick up, not always,
Yeah.
but like body language or the way people are talking to you, where you realize like, oh, this person is with me, or oh, this person is not with
Yeah.
me. And again, those are within confines of the game. Like there are definitely people that said one thing to my face and then lied and did something else, but to
Yeah.
me, like that's part of the game. So that's all fair. But yeah, there are absolutely times when I could pick up like, nah, I don't think that person is with me anymore.
Yeah. What was when you were answering the show and you're competing for $5 million? I'm sure you probably thought about what you would do with the money. What were some things that you're okay sharing that you had hoped to do with the money?
Yeah, I mean, the most fun thing that I would love to do with a lot of money is actually starting my own video game company that would focus on like stories of people that are usually underrepresented in video games. Like, there are a lot of amazing indie video games out there today, but a lot of the mainstream games are like a lot of, first-person shooters and things like that, which are awesome if that's what you're into. But I feel
Yeah,
like I don't see myself represented in a lot of games and a lot of other like underrepresented communities. So, I'd love to like hire developers that to tell different sort of stories because I do feel like a lot of change comes through art and entertainment. So I
yeah,
think like that's like a really cool way to like enact change or at least show people different stories that they wouldn't be exposed to otherwise. And
yeah,
then the not s- the less fun and exciting answer is, helping to pay off my parents' house and allowing them to retire with some amount of money, and then probably more boring things like investing some money so that I could retire earlier,
yeah,
things like that.
yeah. That's really, really cool. Well, I mean, it's really cool too, because sometimes when people get into coming to financial wealth, their initial thought is spend, 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 right? Like you said, pay off your house or things like that. But you talked about investing into a company that holds the potential of a good ROI. You talked about investing long term for the future, so you would be financially set. When I'm actually really curious how you talked about the story of the game. Would you be able to touch on a little bit more about that, or you want to keep it closed off because it's still a vision of yours? Like,
Yeah, no, I don't have like a particular story, like an exact video game that I have in mind, but like I just have grown up playing a lot of games and I have like also a lot of friends who like work in that industry and have a lot of creative ideas that aren't as like mainstream.
okay, I like that. That's really, really cool. And so now I want to touch back um on MrBeast games. I want to get back into that. What was your favorite experience or your favorite game?
Ooh, that is hard because there are a few that I really loved. I would say I loved the challenge where we had to like build the giant tower as a big team.
Yeah,
Um, because at the end of the day, I am like a team player. I love being on a team. I love co-op games. I want to win together.
yeah,
I'd rather probably lose as a team than win by myself. So I love that being able to work together. And then I'm just a huge, huge, huge Survivor fan. So being able to go to the island and play in that like Survivor relay race, that was amazing. And
yeah,
then just to add one more, the telephone game in episode 9, I felt like that really, my skills really came through with that because I feel like, again, as you said, like sensing who's with you, who's against you, I could sort of honestly tell on the phone who's actually going to vote for me, who's not. Let me count the numbers. Let me see who I need to bribe versus just talk to. So I felt like finally there's a game where I feel confident that I can
yeah.
actually win at, unlike a lot of the other games.
And yeah, I know you guys like. Do you guys know when you're gearing towards the end of the competition?
I mean, we know what our end date is in our contract. So I
Mhm.
think we kind of could feel like, okay, there's only a few days left. But we don't necessarily know like when the exact what is the last challenge or how many more challenges there are to go at any point.
Yeah. Towards the end of right before of process of elimination, when you guys were all throwing the ball. I forgot the name of the game, but you guys were throwing the ball into the tubes, and then you have to say drop them, and you were the last female standing amongst four other guys, and you're the last female standing. What was that moment like for you, or how was that moment for you being the only girl and you were primarily being targeted?
That was probably the hardest part of the whole game for me. Um, because even though I know that it is a game and a lot of people are ganging up on me because they're in an alliance that I'm not in, and like people like Tyler, who I think who wasn't necessarily against me specifically, it's like I'm the farthest away from him. I'm the least likely to kick at him. It just makes sense from him a game perspective to kick at me and Corey. Like I know it's not personal against me or Corey. But it felt really demoralizing because the game took a lot longer than what you see. So it's just like hours and hours of people just kicking at me. And even though I know it's not personal, it begins to feel personal. And it feels like I felt very like isolated. And it felt like I'm just waiting to lose.
Yeah,
So it was tough.
yeah. I know you're gonna see. I felt so bad too, and then I really liked how during the show, like I think it was after that episode or that clipping where it was Corey. No, it's Tyler. No, it's Corey. And he says that he stopped targeting you because he thought about his boys. If they were watching him, he wants them to stick up for if someone's being targeted, to stick up. And I thought that was pretty powerful how he decided to switch that. Now, when you got eliminated, I know how you said, I remember in the show, I can't remember word for word, but you were like they were like, it's not personal. You're like, I know you say it's not personal, but it's kind of hard to not feel that way when you're the only one being targeted. What was that emotion like? I know you kind of just explained it right now, but like you're being targeted and everyone's pretty much taking shots at you, right?
Literally,
Yeah,
literally taking shots.
yeah, literally. Like, during that moment, was there like ever a moment that kind of entered your mind where you're like, oh, this is it. Like, I'm done for. There's no more after this.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it was really, really tough.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to get eliminated much earlier in that game just because everybody except for as Corey and then later Tyler was kicking at me. Almost every kick I was like, "Oh, I'm about to get eliminated." And I think actually at some point um oh my gosh, my I'm blanking on his name, but one of the uh co-hosts like said to me, "Hannah, are you just going to take this? Are you going to like I know you're not really great at soccer, but is there anything else you can do?" And I was like, wow, you're right. Like I can at least verbally say something. And
Yeah.
I think they show a little bit of my pitch or my plea to stay. And I make the comment about like strategically, we don't know what challenge is coming next. So if you want to win, maybe you want to take me to the next level because maybe there's a challenge that you can beat. And there are certain people there who I given my word, such as Corey. I said like I won't eliminate you, or like obviously if we're in the final two, I would try to eliminate him, but I was just
Yeah.
not picking at him at all. Um, and once I gave that plea, I think that also helped change Tyler's mind because he realized, oh, maybe maybe I should also go a different route
Yeah.
strategically.
When you got eliminated, what did that moment feel for you? What was that like?
I mean, it was really, really sad, obviously, because we had been all fighting so hard for so long. But it also felt almost like a relief a little bit. Not that I wanted to be eliminated, but the experience was so emotionally intense that to suddenly be like, wow, it's over. I don't have to be stressed anymore, kind of felt like a relief.
Yeah.
Um, Again, not that I wanted to be eliminated,
Right.
but it's really, really hard to be there under that emotional stress for so long and then just be like, wow, I can go back to being a normal person now. Kind of nice.
How has being on Beast Games, is this your first competition show or ever being on TV?
Yes.
What has this moment been like for you? Like, has it created opportunities for you? Has it open doors you didn't even fathom would be possible. What's happened or what transpired ever since being on Beast Games?
Yeah. I mean, it's very strange. I mean, I think because I probably don't have as a memorable look as a lot of the other contestants. I don't really get recognized on the street, or if I am, people aren't coming up to me. But I know like when I walked around outside with like August or Nick, people are coming up to them and being like, "Ah, you're from Beast Games, take a picture." But like that's not really ever happened to me when I'm alone, which is probably good, so I can go about my life normally, not getting stopped.
Yeah.
But yeah, like one of the other contestants, Sasha, she works for a fashion company. So she had me and some of the other contestants model in her fashion show at New York Fashion Week, which was so cool. And she might have other opportunities for us. And we've gotten to a bunch of us did like this thing called Ruck for Rare with Jeff from season one, where we each walked like a marathon with him to try to raise money for the to raise money for for research for the disease that his son suffers from.
Yeah.
So like things like that. Like I would have never walked a marathon with the winner of season one of Beast Games without being on this show.
That is so cool. I believe it's is it creatine? Creatine?
Yeah, creatine transport
Yeah.
deficiency, CTD.
Creatine. That's right. That's right. And that was really, really cool. How actually was that? I wanted to bring that up within our conversation. I know you did that and you posted I think on your somewhere along on your Instagram where it said I'm recovering. And at first I'm
Yes.
like recovering from what? Like what's going on? Like what did I miss? Because I talked to you prior to it. And then, of course, then I seen post from Jeff and everybody, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like, how was that?
Yeah, well, first of all, recovering because I walking a marathon is a lot.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. I mean, we walked it, didn't run it, luckily. Don't think I could have ran it. But like the whole time, we're talking, sharing stories, filming fun little TikToks and videos, and we actually ended up walking the end of it around the Beast Labs lot. We went and filmed some videos, and then Beast Labs like gave him like I think a $10,000 check to also go to the charity
Wow.
we're working for. So just it was a lot.
Yeah.
Physically, I could not really walk the next day.
That is so, so cool. And we're getting towards the end of the episode here. And what is I want to do something a little bit different with you. What is something little Hannah, if little Hannah could see big Hannah who you are today, what do you think little Hannah would be most proud of?
Hmm. Well, first of all, Little Hannah would be shocked because I mean, I still have kind of low self-confidence and imposter syndrome, but especially Little Hannah also had a lot of self-doubt. Probably most impressed in that kind of vein of like going out and doing stuff that it's scary, even though like going on Beast Games, there's a huge potential for failure there. Like only one person can win, and so many people were eliminated right at the beginning. And like even getting on stage and dancing regularly or doing these software engineering interviews, those can be really scary. So I think she'd be very impressed by doing scary things and not being afraid of failure.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I always ask all of my guests this question, and I forgot to do it on my last episode. I felt I was horrible because it's my favorite question. I want to ask you this. What is a question you wish people asked you more of, but they don't?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I mean, in this scenario, you're kind of asking me everything. But in like Beast Games specifically, I kind of wished contestants, I'm kind of getting around your question, but what I wished contestants asked me more about were like my physical strengths and things that you wouldn't necessarily expect from looking at me. Like I kind of feel like being on the smart team, everybody was like, oh, she does software engineering, but she's not very strong or physical. And I'm like, wait, I'm literally a professional athlete as a professional dancer.
Yeah.
And my schooling was 3 to 8 hours of exercise every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I just wish people asked more about things that are unexpected from looking at me.
Yeah. Wait, actually, how did that actually ever benefit you being underestimated?
I think it was both beneficial and not beneficial. Like, I think beneficial in that I wasn't really seen as a threat.
Yeah.
But also not beneficial in that I think I was seen as less of a competitor. And there was definitely sort of, it's a double-edged sword where some people are like, oh, I want to take weaker people to the end. And then other people are like, ah, I want to be with strong competitors in the end.
Yeah.
And I don't know, my attitude is kind of like we're all strong and weak in different ways. So probably want to go to the end with a variety of, skills and such.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love the answers. Now I want to get into the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
What is one word your friends would use to describe you?
Passionate.
What is one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
That I weightlift.
One word to describe your Beast Games experience.
Emotional.
If Beast Games taught you one life lesson, what was it?
Probably never give up.
What's more dangerous, being underestimated or overestimated?
Oh. I mean, it's probably more dangerous for other people to underestimate you, but more dangerous for yourself to overestimate yourself.
Absolutely. One thing people assume about you that is completely wrong.
Well, what I just said before, that I'm very physically fit and active. I just competed in something that involved like actual wrestling. So that was not Beast Games, that was something else.
Hidden talent people never expect from you.
A hidden talent. Well, a lot of my talents are not very hidden.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I grew up doing also a lot of like visual art, so it's not something I talk about a lot, but painting and sculpture, I guess.
Oh, that's cool. That's actually fascinating to know.
I get not like like not super talented, but like growing up, instead of, when the electives were like software engineering or ceramics, I was always
Yeah.
taking ceramics instead.
You're like the hidden Picasso over here. We don't even know it.
Probably not on that level, but I enjoy it.
That's awesome. Now, Hannah, let everyone know where they could find you, anything and everything you want them to know about you, anything you're working on.
Yeah, my Instagram is HK Rigsley. And what do I post there? Just whatever I'm doing. Feast game stuff, dance, video games, board games. And I also compete in and run a bunch of these things called LRGs or live reality games, which are basically fan-made versions of big competition shows. So if people are, I guess, interested in competing in like fan-made version of those, you can hop over to my page because I run my own Survivor game and do production for a Survivor game. So yeah, come on over.
That's awesome. And everybody too, within listening, anything her Instagram will be within the description as well. And for the audience listening, what is something that you personally resonated with Hannah Riggs' story? This is Become the Victor, where we turn trials into triumph. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And again, today's guest is Hannah Riggs. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, remember, grow through what you go through. Much love.